Hello there. My name is Chris Persley, and welcome to Juan's Patriotic Playhouse. Today we have a special guest with us to discuss everything you need to know about utopian societies. Without further ado, let's welcome our host, James Brickwall.
Thank you, you're too kind. But before we introduce our guest to discuss the ins and outs of utopian society, you may be wondering, what is a utopian society in the first place? A utopian society, well folks, is a group of people that come together around the 1800s and they try to make a more perfect environment for themselves. Now, let's please welcome our guest, Michael Old Maple Boyle.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Brickwall.
It's good to see you too, Old Maple. To get the discussion going, Old Maple, I have to ask you, why were utopian societies attempted in the first place, and what were some of their common beliefs?
Well, Brickwall, these societies were attempted when people decided to challenge the traditional norms of American society and establish a new form of living which they believed to be more perfect, accompanied with their beliefs, mainly a system where people's lives are controlled by faith.
Interesting. Were there any other beliefs for utopian societies?
Absolutely. For example, one of the earliest and long-lasting groups were the Shakers, and some of their main beliefs were that they all shared the same land and forbade sexual activity.
Now before we hand it back over to Chris, I have one last quick question to ask you. If the Shakers forbade sexual activity, how did they get new members?
I'm glad you asked, Brickwall, because this is actually one of the main downfalls of utopian society. They didn't allow sexual activity, so their only way to gain new members was through conversion, and this led to not enough numbers to sustain their societies and their ultimate demise.
Fascinating. Now let's go to Chris the Dustbuster Persley for this week's Breakdown.
This week we're breaking down the Harmony Society, which is a utopian society formed in 1805 by the founder and spiritual leader Jonathan George Rapp. In this society, 4 to 6 people were assigned to a home and lived together for the duration of their lives. Everyone had a specific trade. Men worked in the manual labor and women worked in agriculture. This community supported itself by exporting crops and importing very little. Finally, this society was based mainly on agriculture, but also had some industry. The society eventually collapsed due to the society's leaders moving from their religious views to become more business-like, causing members to leave. The society was hesitant to add other members, ultimately causing its demise. That's all the time we have this week for Breakdown. Now back to you, Brickwall.
Thanks, Dustbuster, for that interesting piece of news on those wacky Harmonites. From what I've heard, it seems like most utopian societies failed. Why is that?
Well, Brickwall, most of these societies failed because they cannot recruit new members, which is essential to continue the society. Also, the general corruption of leadership did not help the cause.
What would be an example of their corruption?
That is where it gets interesting. The previously stated Shakers were very corrupt because, as was the case in most societies, the officials traded in their values for business.
Tragic. I understand there was a group called the Fruitlands. Can you tell us about them?
Gladly. The Fruitland community were extremists on many levels. Settlers were forbidden to eat meat, consume stimulants, create artificial light, enjoy hot baths, drink anything but water, and to use any form of animal labor. Eventually, celibacy within marriage was also added as a forbidden practice within the community.
So I understand people didn't want to join these communities.
No, the strict ideals pushed many away.
I see. So I guess you could say that they took a risk by joining these communities.
I guess you can.
Now, let's go to Juan the Slayer Orengo for another Breakdown. Now for Breakdown Part 2.
Thanks, Brickwall. So today we are talking about Brooks Farm. Self-reliance, optimism, individualism, and disregard for external authority and tradition characterize the society and the beliefs of its members. Located in Massachusetts, Brook Farm was founded for the purpose of promoting human culture and brotherly cooperation. Through hard work and simplicity, those who joined the fellowship of George Ripley's farm were supposed to understand and live in social harmony, free of government, free to perfect themselves. Brooks Farm would ultimately fizzle out as it failed to gain new members. Now back to you, Brickwall.
Alright, sorry folks, that's all the time we have for today on Juan's Patriotic Playhouse. Signing off from Chris, Dustbuster Persley, James, Brickwall Jones, Mike, Old Maple Boyle, and myself. Alright, peace.